Now today we're going to be talking about e-bike conversion kits, one brand specifically, the Swytch Bike conversion kit. Now I've featured other conversion kits on my channel with mid-drive setups, which I'll link those videos in the description below if you guys want to check those out, if that's something you're looking for. Now Swytch Bike's conversion kit is supposed to work on any bike out there. When they originally reached out to me, we were supposed to be doing this as an unbiased review on something like my dirt jumper mountain bike, but unfortunately it does not fit on the mountain bike and I had to put it on a different bike because of the crank setup. Now it won't work on certain crank setups, which I'll break down here momentarily, but first let's break this thing down and check out what hub it's running, what battery setup, and then we'll talk about how this thing assembles. Now Swytch Bike states that they have conversion kits that'll fit any setup out there. This is an old school Trek 3500, and as you can tell, the rim wasn't meant to be on this bike. I would have asked for a black rim if I knew I was putting it on this. It was supposed to go on my dirt jumper, which has silver rims, and unfortunately it won't go on there, and we'll talk about that with the crank arm situation in a moment. First, let's talk about the hub-driven setup. So this is a 250 watt hub that you put on the front. It has the option to be able to put on your rotor as well. So it comes with or without, just in case you don't have front rotors on your bike. Right now I'm running a tubeless and just a solid rubber tire on this. This is actually a test that I'm doing for Tannis Armor right now. So this is just a solid piece of rubber on here. So it's gonna make it a little bit more of a rigid ride, but you know, it does the job. This is actually a really nice smooth take up when it comes to the hub. So when it starts the acceleration, it's not bad. It's a good feeling, but it does top out and a little bit sluggish on most hills that are out there. Now working our way up to the batteries. So this is a 46 volt battery. It's all tucked away in here as well as the controller. And it's a pretty decent little display, as much as it's just kind of a tacky sticker, but it kind of gets your point across. You can increase the power, decrease the power, hold to turn on and turn off. It's pretty straightforward. To get it off, you hold on to this and press your thumb on this, and there you go. Slides right back onto that track. Nice solid click, but like I said, this is the older setup. They do have a much thinner battery now, which I really wish that I had. I'm not really sure why they didn't send me the most updated one. It is a really sleek and probably a much lighter setup as well. That's one of the things I gotta say about this setup. It is very top heavy. It's one thing I don't like, is a lot of weight on the front end, because you can really feel it as you're turning into turns. And I can imagine, I guess, the not so seasoned rider out there would probably get jackknifed or fall pretty easy. And if you don't have the bike properly put up on the kickstand, like if I turn the wheel just a little bit and I have it like here, like it wants to fall over. So it's a lot of top weight. So I got to have the wheel slightly turned like that for it to be able to hold the weight of it. The charging time on it took about 6 hours, honestly. It was pretty long, a lot longer than what I'm used to with most other e-bike batteries that are out there. But now let's talk about the installation process. It was very easy. I basically could do it with no directions, but I did fall into a couple problems. Let me show you. So the installation was actually pretty easy. Even if you're not mechanically inclined, I actually think anybody out there can do this. If you have a bike stand, it'll make it a lot easier because it is more front end heavy. So if you're flipping the bike over, that can kind of be annoying. I ended up fitting the wheel on first before running any of the cables. So you fit the wheel on first, make sure everything runs true, test out the brakes, make sure everything is solid with that, and then we work our way into the bottom bracket. This is where I ran into an issue with the other cranks. You have to have a flat crank arm. I know that this is adjustable, so this right here, this little hinge, can adjust to most other crank arms out there, but you have to have it pretty close to this sensor. Now, if you have a bunch of cables like I do here on this extra bike I have, this can be pretty annoying for most other bikes that are out there. Now, this whole setup is actually really nice and unique. I just think they probably could have made it a little bit better by having more of a plastic wrap around here to be able to make it to where people, I guess, wouldn't have to use zip ties. I feel like this is a little bit tacky in my opinion. Now, the sensor was pretty tacky as well because it had like a regular sticky adhesive and then you have to run 2 zip ties. Yeah, you guys kind of get the point. But overall, you run the cable up here. I have it ran around the bottle connector here because I don't plan on keeping it on this bike, but you can zip tie it around a few times and then it connects to the pack right here. Now this extra connector here is for a throttle, which they didn't send in the pack. I didn't know if I was supposed to get one or not, but they didn't send it in the pack, but I would use the throttle on the right side if I had it. After all is said and done, you run the connector here, you strap it on, zip tie it, and you do a couple tests. This is where I say a bike stand is best. Now having a bike stand will make this process so much easier when it comes to installation. Now having both those wheels elevated is pretty much a must because you could flip your bike over and have the battery on the front, but that's going to put a lot of pressure on the bracket for the battery as well as the battery. I recommend having it in a bike stand so that both wheels are elevated, and when you're pedaling, it can engage onto that sensor, which then puts the power into the motor, so you can make sure that the motor is working continuously before you take it out on the trail like today. Now let's talk about what I think the good and the bad is with this product, and is there another product out there you could probably pick versus this? or should you upgrade to a full electric bike? Now overall, I do think electric bike conversion kits do have a place out there. Swytch Bike conversion kit is very easy to install, as well as other kits that are out there. But the problem with this is the overall weight of these conversion kits. You put a lot of weight on this front end, but I do think that it would make a better option if you had some type of battery pack that you could harness on the lower section of your seat. I think that would be a great option for the Swytch Bike kit, as well as other kits that are out there. There are other kits out there that run bottle holders. It almost looks like a water bottle on your frame, so that weight is in the center part of your bike versus being on the front or the back. Now my final thoughts, I think that if you have the means to be able to buy an electric bike, I do recommend just buying an electric bike versus putting a conversion kit on your existing bike. That way you have the best of both worlds. That's just my personal opinion. If you're looking for any of those, I'll put the links in the description below if you want to check out any other electric bikes, as well as my Amazon store. So with that being said, if you guys have any other suggestions for future videos, put them in the comments below. If you guys like this video, drop a like. If you love it, hit the subscribe button, and I'll catch you in the next one.